Well, hey, we're Lanette and Sean Reed. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have some wonderful content coming your way, so you don't want to miss. But on today's video, we're going to talk about how to overcome emotional trauma.
Emotional trauma may not seem like something that you have faced within your relationship, but we like to define trauma as any experience that's too overwhelming for the mind or body to process appropriately. And there have been many times in our marriage where we found ourselves going through traumatic experiences. And some of them were good things. I mean, having a child, right? But then also undergoing the changes physically, emotionally, within her body after she had the child, and within my body and in my mind after we had new children. We had 3 of them back to back to back. So all within 3 years, we had 3 children, moved to a new city, had new jobs. Trust me, we went through some emotional trauma.
It was there.
And the thing is, we didn't really process it. We didn't discuss it, honestly. We just kind of went through our difficulties and had our own perspectives, but we didn't really share it, and we just kind of moved on.
Well, I think most people wouldn't necessarily categorize those life events having emotional trauma.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we mess up. That's where we fail in realizing that normal life transitions can actually breathe emotional trauma.
Yeah, so when Lanette and I really began to process some of the things that we were going through in our lives, it was almost like a pattern of problematic emotional responses that we were having towards one another. And we began to realize that they were actually connected to different transitions that we had gone through in our marriage. And those transitions left a lasting impact emotionally and physically, financially. And we hadn't taken the time to pause and process what we were feeling and what we were facing. And so if you really want to overcome emotional trauma in your relationship, you have to get to a place where you recognize that loss of job, that grief that we were going through at the loss of a loved one, or that promotion that brought greater wealth also brought new responsibilities and new challenges and less time together as a family. That affects us emotionally. And so if you can first get to a place to where you recognize, hey, we're kind of living in the shadow of an event that took place and we aren't the same. If you can get to that place where you recognize that and you can confess that and say, hey, you know, we need to talk because something's going on emotionally in me. I'm a little bit more angry than I was last year around this time. Or I've been dealing with the fact that I just don't have that get up and go, that drive for life right now. And we need to talk about it.
Yeah, I think the first step is really having some self-discovery. Is really paying attention to your emotional state, paying attention to, you know, the health of your heart and your mental state, your mental capacity. And if you're noticing that you're triggered off of small things, or if you're constantly in a state of tension, then you probably have some emotional trauma.
You know, we like to say it like this: transitions that you go through in your marriage, transitions force decisions that create tension. And what we mean by that is, as my wife and I, we've just recently moved to a new state. And as we were moving from a place that we had lived in for 18 years, we were taking on a new role as marriage and family pastors at Open Door Church. That's a blessing. It was great. The move is God, we know it. And yet we were having to release, you know, a place that we had dug our roots deep down into the ground with, and we had friendships and people that we wouldn't see as often, and we were leaving behind something that we had built up, a business and ministry that we had built up for years. In making this change, she felt a certain kind of way about it. I felt a certain way about it, and we had the clarity of thought at that moment to actually spend time talking with mentors, talking with counselors, and processing emotionally what it was that we were going through. And so after you get to that place of saying, you know what, I think this decision that we're making, this financial choice, this move to another part of the city, changing our kids from one school district to another, whatever it is that you may be going through, it's weighing on me and I'm feeling it. Now I feel what I'm feeling. We're going to talk about it. We're going to communicate with one another without walls being placed up between one another. And then we're going to share and put together a plan for how we're going to get the healing that we need in our relationship.
And, you know, in our new book, Marriage in Transition, which you can find marriageintransition.com, we suggest that you have a weekly meeting or a simple meetup to where you can sit down with your spouse and you can articulate not where you think you need to be, or articulate not what you think is right or wrong, but share with them your heart and the state of your heart so that you can be on one accord emotionally. You know, we all want to know who's on our side, who's on our team. And so I think it's very important that you sit down with your spouse, share with them your hurts so that they can merge and you can unite and get the healing that you need together.
Yeah, so in that, empathy is important, and she wants me to be on her team and I want her to be on my team, and you all need unity within your relationship. And those meetup times are an opportunity for you to share and connect and say, I got your back no matter what it is that we're going through. And so listen, guys, if you appreciate this video, make sure you leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We thank God for you all. We're praying for your relationships.